We are live. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the round 18 player ratings. Welcome to a great Monday night ahead of us.
How good is it? Hey, Terry, we're just doing dubs now. We're just doing dubs all the time. We only deal in dubs.
4 in a row, mate. 4 in a row, and the fourth was one of the special ones. It'll be known for a while as Port Adelaide 2023, just the way we used to say Sydney 2023.
Mate, hey, look, in the immortal words of Regina George from Mean Girls, only losers lose. And we're the hot girls. We're wearing pink. Do you know what I mean? We're wearing pink. We do what we want.
It's absolutely hot girl winter at the moment.
I still haven't worked out what a hot girl walk is. Like, that's been a 2-year POM research that has come back with nothing. So anyone in the chat who wants to help me out.
I can send you some collateral. You can go watch some TikToks. I've got an old friend of mine that might be able to help you out with that.
I still don't. It's like, I need to be walked through it. Some things POMs don't understand. That's one of them.
No. Well, what we're going to do tonight is, guys, we're going to do the player ratings. So if you're new to the player ratings, welcome. What we do with the player ratings is as follows. We go through every single player. We look at their performance. POM has created an algorithm where we put all the metrics of their game through the algorithm, and it spits out a rating between 1 and 10. Now, what the players are all individually ranked against are the same statistics that other players in the same position around the league are ranked against. So what you're going to see tonight is where our performances for round 18 stack up against the competition. So you will have a chance to guess what the rating will be. We will then put the rating up on screen, and we'll get going. I think I explained that what an algorithm was pretty good there. I've been working on it.
Mate, you nail it all the time. You just doubt yourself. You've got this, mate. You've got this. Tell you, it's John Lennon and Paul McCartney territories. We're fine. We're fine.
Yes. So I think we should start because I feel like we're going to really use up the hour here. Zainab's in the house. I'll just let you all know Zainab loves the ratings, and Zainab knows the system without knowing the system. She's a very good guess.
I'll just text her pre-show now. She just gives me the ratings. It saves me hours.
She knows. All right, let's get into it, shall we? First up, Jacob Wietering in his 150th. Guys, have a guess. I haven't seen the ratings at all. When I watched the replay, I realized his first few contests were a little bit shaky, but after that, really solid, really consistent.
Mate, as the old song goes, he is as solid as a rock, isn't he, old Wieters? He is Mr. Reliable. No surprise, the defense has improved in the last 4 weeks. Jacob is a big part of it. 2 one-on-ones, and they were isolation one-on-ones, which means you're in Cal's corner, you're in the shit, and won them. Absolute phenomenal effort from Mr. Jacob, and it's what we come to expect. Ball use was pretty tasty, so it should be quite high. I'll give you a clue. Should be quite high.
Should be quite high. I feel like he'll definitely have an 8 next to his name. So let's have a look. Wow. 8.5.
Look at Zainab is honestly, tell you what, me and Zainab need to go and have a green tea because I reckon she's hacked my computer.
No, he was excellent. So this puts him right in that top echelon of performers across the competition for the round, doesn't it?
Yeah, as a ruckman, as a defender, you're judged on your skills, contested marks. He won 3 of them. 2 of them were in packs, 3 intercept marks. The guy was fairly reliable. He didn't get beat, really. That's basically what it says. And sign of a good team defense.
Yep. All right. Brody Kemp is next. Brody Kemp. A little bit more sharp this week, I thought, than last week. Had the 10 touches, took the 6 marks. How'd you see Brody's game?
Sign of a growing young man in the stature of Carlton's system. So When you look at this, he was isolated 10 times.
Wow.
10 times. He took the harder guys. He's really been given the trust by Voss to be the second key defender, which is really hard for a guy like him. We talk about height and stuff, and I always say that this guy's similar in stature to Stephen May, so it has been done. Carlton are going with that model, and he had a baptism of fire, but all in all, it will go against him that he lost 70% of the time when it was one-on-one defending. His numbers, though, outside of that were very, very good for a man that has had a tough job. So that will indicate as well that he impacted in other ways, which people forget about Stephen May. He can be quite loose one-on-one at times, but when he does, he usually hurts you on the other end of the scale. So solid from Mr. Kempy.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to have like a 6.5, a 6. Yeah, that sounds about right. Adam Sard is next. Sardi. I didn't appreciate his game as much as when I watched the replay. I thought he was fairly locked down, to be fair, for the majority of the game. The other thing with this game, like the possession numbers weren't high, but the impact across the board was pretty good, obviously. So I feel like Sard fits into this category. Came off a little sore towards the end, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect his rating.
Always tough when you come off the ground. And obviously took a knock. Very interesting. We'll come on to it a bit later, but there's been a massive switch around in the midfield and in the defence where players are. So Sard was just very solid. We're not seeing that kind of offensive approach from Sard. We're seeing more of a defensive, mature approach. And Nick Newman is the new man of the moment. We're going to give him a lot of love when we speak about Nick Newman. But Sard, it was solid. But obviously being checked a little bit by their forwards. But all in all, a Sard game. So,
yep.
Sard game.
That's a 6 or a 6.5. Yeah. Easy done. Mitch McGovern. It was one of those. I thought that was one of his better performances for the club. One of the performances where I watched the replay and I'm like, fuck, McGovern. Where's that energy been? He was so committed defensively.
Definitely starting to exude a bit of, I believe they call it in the phrase BDE, don't they? He's got a bit of it, hasn't he? Very
big
arrogant
daddy energy.
They're very arrogant the way that he's now leading forwards to the ball, which is very interesting. And found himself doing a job a lot on Finlayson when Finlayson slid forward, and really showed he was more intelligent than his opposite man and led Finlayson into deep water, which is why Wheatering scored well. Wheatering was very good at leading the opposition to where he wanted them to be. And strong intercept marks, as you expect from him, was reliable defensively. And again, another 9.5 on the kicking danger chart. That basically means that this guy is taking route one every time, the dangerous option, and solid numbers from a man of his skill set, really.
I'm feeling an 8.5. Yeah. He was excellent. Even a little blind turn in the first quarter, nearly kicked a goal from 50.
Yeah, I mean, we had Gerard Whateley, didn't we, in the week, be wrongly quoted. He linked him to Messi. I think the best defender I've ever seen in my life was Fabio Cannavaro, the Italian centre-back. I reckon probably Cannavaro was a better defender, but I reckon Mitch McGovern was a better visionary than Fabio Cannavaro. That'll wind Paolo up if he's lurking in chat. That'll proper piss him off.
He was very good. Jordan Boyd is next. Boydie, he got himself on report. Dangerous. A slam tackle on Darcy Byrne-Jones. He's off to the tribunal, which means we are off to the tribunal. That'll be tomorrow when we find out whatever time it's going to be. On a side note, ladies and gents, so a bit of a tribunal stream tomorrow night. He's just solid. Just a solid back pocket player, does his job. That's kind of how I always talk about him.
Mate, There's a reason that they call Jordan around the football club the postman, because he always delivers. And that's good, that, actually. I'm keeping that to myself.
Yeah.
But no, Jordan Boyd, thankless task, back pocket. We talked about roles. Mitch McGovern and Kemp have swapped. So now Kemp's taking the more defensive role. And McGovern's been given a free roam. Boyd and Nick Newman have swapped, and he's been more trusted with his defense. His ability on the deck is really understated. And there's a lot of things that he doesn't do that stats don't give him. So he does a lot of things that you can't do it. But his ability on the deck, this is another week where he was 100% one-on-one on the ground, which is really hard. And especially when you've got players like Rosie and Butters float there. That's quite a tough ask. But this guy is harder than a cat's head. So that'll show that he was brave.
Okay. Ooh. 6.5. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good from a back pocket player. And that, if you're new here, 6.5 is good for a job doer, for a guy like Jordan Boyd who doesn't necessarily get many opportunities to impact games because he's locking down in a defensive post. Nick Newman is next. Thought he had an excellent game, Pommy. Thought he was bloody sensational. That's what his best footy looks like. And he laid 9 tackles on Saturday with 555 meters gained as well as whatever else he did. And he kicked a goal. So I feel like for his position, that's going to be very high.
Mate, this guy is an animal, and it's hard to put into words how good this guy is. What I'm going to do, just a bit unrelated, but this guy is the most improved Carlton player in the last 4 weeks, right? In this run, the guy's had his role changed because of Doc and Boyd playing behind all the stoppages. He has now become almost like a CDM in soccer, if you understand that. Sits in front of the back line. He's our first line of protection, particularly from that dump ball. And teams have worked Carlton out 60 metres out from goal. If you can get the ball to land there, that's where Carlton have hemorrhaged a lot of goals from stoppage and centre clearance. He lives there. This guy, honestly, the highest rated player playing his role in the league this week, right? For his role.
Highest rated player. Did you say highest rated player in his position this week?
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking this guy was a walk-up start for every team. The only forward, the only backman that doesn't play intercept or a key position that ranks inside the top 10 in AFL in marks. Let that sink in. He is the number 1 mid, small, whatever you want to call them, defender in the league at marks. All right. That's insane. That's an insane stat. You're talking one of the top intercept possession players in the league in the last couple of weeks. Nick Newman has found his role. And you know what? Doc going a bit forward of the ball. People were worried. Boyd had that role. Nick Newman is in another level. And he's probably stiff that Jay Sauce had such a good game, because I reckon there'd be a great argument to say this guy was the best player on the ground. The best player on the ground. If Sauce didn't do what Sauce did, I think this would be an easy argument. But phenomenal output.
I've got a feeling the goal really separates him from the others in his position in the ground. And I've got a feeling it's going to be like a 9.5.
It's high.
9. Yo, that's huge. So we've only had 3 of these, I think, since we started doing this system.
Yeah. Spoiler, there's a new record holder. I have to explain.
Oh,
so stay tuned for that. There's going to be a bit of mayo. Get your mayo out, chat.
The people love the mayo when we go well.
Get your mayo. Get your helmets.
No, that is absolutely massive from Nick Newman. The next player on the list is Blake Acres, named on the wing. He was solid. I thought he was solid.
Solid.
Without being too outstanding, but I thought he was a pretty good contributor on the day.
Mate, Blake Acres is one of them players that people give a little bit of pants to. This guy, right? People are talking about Dan Houston. This guy intercepted handballs from Houston, looking for the give and go 4 times out of his 7 intercept
Wow.
possessions. This was a top level defensive wing. And Nick Newman's role is all because Blake Acres swings back. So I've seen a few comments this week. O'Brien's better than Blake Acres. If you literally think O'Brien could do what Blake Acres do, you answer your question, what's your favorite type of weed, with cocaine. That's how you answer it. Because I am telling you, Blake Acres is in another stratosphere defensively. Real strong defensive wing role. And you can see why this was an acquisition, because it was something that Voss wants, overlapping halfback flankers. Acres allows them to do that because it's a very selfless game that he puts out. I've got to say, very selfless.
All right, let's have a look. How did it play out? Oh, I'm going to guess 8. 7.5. Thankless. I like it. I like it a lot.
I like a bit of Blake Acres as well. He looks like a good sort, doesn't he?
Well, I think at the end of the day, the way I look at Blake, I never expect him to be a star of the team. I only expect him to be an upgrade on what we had last year, which was O'Brien or Jack Noons. And I think he's clearly an upgrade. I think we clearly got what we paid for with Blake.
Blake Acres looks like the type of guy that, you go for a piss when you're about to pay the bar tab and he's paid it. And I like people like that.
I like that. That was very good. That was actually very good.
Thank you.
Paddy Cripps is next, the skipper. Oh, he's playing a really evolved version of his best at the moment, isn't he? It's not vanity metrics. It's real impact. It's real leadership impact. I'm loving the way he's going about it at the moment.
Said it the other week, and I got a bit of hate from some of my Richmond mates because I said that I'm in love with the Trent Cotchin Cripper. And they were in my DMs and going, oh, Cotchin's a multiple flag winner. Cripps has done fuck all. And I'm like, fight me. But honestly, seeing his selfless game is just insane. This is a big change for Cripps because the midfield and the defense is literally improving by the minute because the leaders there are letting others do the work. And Charlie Kerner, we're going to come on to him. This was, in my opinion, Charlie's biggest mature game. Cripps these last 2 weeks been real mature that he lets other players do their job. He is now trusting them and saying, nah, it's all right. I believe in you, and I'm going to run ahead of you because you're going to win the ball. And he did it 3 or 4 times. In that second quarter, the last 5 minutes, their pressure rating and the swing to Port's momentum was huge. Cripper took the piss in that. That was when Cripper said, nah, boys, I'm the man. You support me. But then that third quarter, Cripps was like, it's all right, Hewitt. You do your job. I'm here. Dow, you're going to go for the ball. I'm here. Absolute phenomenal from Cripps. Everything we expect from Cripps he did. 11 score involvements. And this is huge. Cripps isn't known for this. Cripps' distribution at the moment, being part of them handball chains, this is Cripper's gig. This is what he was born to do. And you know what? When he wins 3 flags, them Richmond fans will say Trent Cotchin who?
So
Never heard of him.
Did you say 11 score involvements?
Cripper does what he wants.
Sheesh. So we're talking 7 tackles, even a hit out, 12 contested possessions, 10 clearances, 11 score involvements, kicked a goal. He nearly had it one of those, what do we call them? Infamous or signature goals on the run. You could tell he was hungry for it, just couldn't finish off his work. But I feel like, yeah, at least an 8. At least. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. He's very good.
Something about him, isn't there? When someone in the comments the other day, I know you weren't having a go, but saying Pom hates 2019 Cripps. I don't. Like, honestly, the Brisbane game has been my substitute for Viagra for about 3 years. But this is the Cripps that makes everyone else better. That's the old Cripps who he needed to have that game for us to stand a chance. This Cripper is the Cripper that makes everyone better. This is... Oh, I like this Cripper. I just want to wrestle him to the ground and lick his forehead. I like this Cripps.
Okay. Sam Doherty is next. The ever reliable Sam Doherty. What do you have in the end? Yeah, the 26. Played more midfield time this week, didn't he? What was the breakdown?
You always ask me a question that's not on my fucking screen, Terry.
Sorry, bro. I felt like I didn't see him as much behind the ball this week from the eye test.
I'll tell you. I'll log in. But yeah, Doc, good game. Good game as always. I am liking this more higher up the ground. The fact that we're getting them backmen to swing by and overlap. And Doc's a key part of that. And this is, again, what we're talking about. When we're saying we need a bit of maturity from some of the players and some selflessness, Doc is like the consummate selfless footballer. You can tell if Voss said tomorrow, oh, do me a favour, Doc, can you go and play key defender? Doc would be like, yeah, all right, mate. Like, where do you want me? Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't have any no, I think there. And you saw it this week with Doc. He was really, really, really hungry in the games this week. He was doing a more defensive duties, more of the dog's body work, dare I say it. The breakdown, Terry, Jesus, that screen's small. So here you are. Why won't they let me zoom in? There we are. Right. So his time was, he played 29% down back, 12 forward. He played at half forward for a bit, and then the rest on the middle. And that split on the middle was 68% wing, the rest on the ball. So around stoppages, that seems to be Voss's go-to man.
Yep. It's a new link, and he got a 7. A very solid game indeed. Lockie Fogarty's next. Mate, this guy, I said this earlier today, he is well and truly on the way to becoming the replacement boy of mine in like the Mark Murphy replacement. I love the way he goes about it in such a short amount of time. He's got me all loved up, mate. I'm love bombing him.
You know what I love about him is the same as what we love about Doherty, right? So like people will say, oh, Doc, I thought he was a 9 because you like him, right? But what people forget about Fogg and Doc and players like that is these guys do the hard yakka. 23 pressure acts as a small forward is a piss take, right? For a starter, right? You've got to just let that sink in. That is ridiculous. He was tied second in the league this week, right? For tackles inside 50, top 5 pressure acts, 23 pressure acts. That's insane. He's up there with players, do you know what I mean? Like Bo McCreary, who Collingwood like go mental over. Dylan Moore, one of the best small forwards in the league. This guy is doing his business. And you know what it does is, we said it, someone sent me something the other week, 2 weeks ago. Last week we were talking about, I want to see Motlop with Fogarty because Fogarty will do all of his dog body work. And Motlop's just got to come in and be the player he was in juniors. Not saying that I'm Nostradamus, but you've never seen me and him in the same room, bar the fact that he died 400 years before I was born. Tell you what, this guy makes things happen, and you need more players like that. Fogg, mate, love him.
No doubt. And his tackles stick, mate. He's just...
There's something about him, isn't there? He's got that dickhead in him. You know, someone asked me the other day, there's no one at Carlton Football Club who you'd say twat. I reckon Fogarty is the twat. I'd hate him. If he played for Collingwood or anyone else, I'd be like, dickhead. Who's that melt? You can just, he's got that look because he's just horrible. He tackles like a man who's got something to prove, and I like him.
Yeah. He was a 7.5. That's very good. That's a very
Remember,
good
role
return.
players, anything above 6 means we're cooking on gas.
Wow, that's great. We'll talk about another role player. Matty Cottrell, ladies and gents. Matty Cottrell kicked a goal. Pretty sure he did.
He did?
Yeah, he did. He actually kicked 2. He didn't kick a goal. He kicked 2 goals.
He did.
Hit the scoreboard, ran hard all day. And
kicked that crumb as well. That was filth, that crumb.
That's right. That's right. I liked his game.
I did like the fact as well that 2 things I love about Cotters is he's exactly like I was when I used to play soccer. When I scored a goal, I make sure that I give a high five to anyone in the vicinity. I'm pretty sure Cottrell would have gone round the stadium when he kicked that goal. Like he was hugging everyone in that front row. But solid from Cottrell. Do you know what I mean? He's got a real weird role as well at Carlton. Does a bit of swinging in the wing. Also does a little bit of that high half forward. It's a tough role because he's doing a lot of things, a lot of thankless tasks, but he gets like an average across the board. One good thing about Cottrell is, and he'll get bumped up with the goals because when he has a chance, I think George nails it. There is a little bit of Mitch Robinson about him, just a likable Mitch Robinson, though. I find Mitch Robinson hard, but there's a reason that he's got a chant. Give me a ginger from Carlton. We love a little bit of Cotters, tell you. The watch along loves a bit of Cotters.
Okay.
He's our boy.
And he gets a 7. It's very good. Yeah, very instrumental. And thankless is a great word. It's a really good word. And I'm noticing that we are celebrating a lot more of the thankless acts and players over the course of the last month. Not just us here on the channel, but like the Carlton community at large, even the club. I think the way that they're putting out the content now is a little bit different. You can see that what they're looking to highlight, and it's these thankless plays and players.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. We have been saying it for a couple of years. We need high ceiling, high floor, not high ceiling. And you know what? Our high floor players are kicking ass, aren't they?
Yep. Well, this guy's got a high ceiling, the next guy, and that's Charlie Curnow. When I watched the replay and I finished the game after the final siren, I thought to myself, wow, like he is becoming the leader, Charlie Curnow. He's slowly starting to show leadership on the field, a little bit more poise, a little bit more thoughtfulness. He's thinking his way through things a lot better than what he was, even as far away as last year. And obviously last year was his first proper season back. So, you know, there's a few elements at play, but he looks to have added a layer of maturity to the way he's going about his footy. He's very selfless, Charlie.
Keep telling everyone. Say it to him blue in the face. Like, you're witnessing like something great here. Honestly, this guy here, my favorite game I've seen Charlie Curnow play.
Yeah.
Because we've seen selflessness, we've seen teamwork. He gift wrapped 4 goals this week.
Yeah.
The old Charlie would have said, nah, I'm fucking having it. That tap down to Motlop for the first was filth. He literally, he could have held Jesse's hand for that goal. That was how good it is. Not many key forwards do that. And I'll tell you what, Geelong fans talking about Jesse Cameron. Jesse Cameron doesn't have the humbleness to do that. Curnow does. Yeah. Absolute star. And when Mackay went, he had to get creative. You know what? He ran his defender. We even started seeing him making dummy runs. What key forward who is the best player in the league would have the humbleness to say, I'm just going to dummy run for you guys. You melts can kick goals. I'll be the dog's body. That dummy lead that he ran where Hewitt kicked the ball inside 50 and Martin had that one out, that was all Charlie. Charlie takes 3 defenders with him. Right? Even the camera was shocked it wasn't aimed at Charlie. Charlie, phenomenal. Honestly, best player in football history.
Well, the taps are an interesting point of conversation. We might touch on them on the Blue Broad show at 7 p.m. But George, I think, mentioned the 2 to Motlop, Tyler as well. Then there was the 1 to Jack in the 4th quarter, I think it was. They don't get a stat, but they are so efficient at creating more time for the receiving player. And, you know, we talk about it a lot on the show. The ball travels quicker than the man on foot. You know, we talk about wanting more speed in the team. Well, the ball, like the time it takes to tap a ball to a teammate compared to grab it and actually execute the handball, we're probably talking half a second less. But it's that half a second that creates a little bit more time for the person receiving it. And the other thing about Charlie, if he's not marking it, he's not just bringing it to ground, he's placing it to ground. Like he's still in control of the ball. It's deliberate and it's awesome to watch. So I feel like, I don't know, do you have taps in the TPI?
You don't have a stat for that, but they do get what is called, there's difference of disposal and possession. So it does count that they actually took the ball into their possession. Always a confusing thing. If you ever gamble, some people look at that stat and go, oh, he had 40. And you've only credited him 38. But score involvement's insane. And you know what? Petra will agree with me here. 6 pressure acts and 5 of them were close vicinity. He's almost daring to tackle inside 50 as well, Charlie.
He is. Well, let's have a look. What did he get? 8. Very good. Very good. If taps were a stat, he would have another 5 direct goal assists, I think. Jesse Motlop, he was the late inclusion. He garnered his best Nick Duigan energy. He came on, kicked his 4th a few minutes into the second quarter. When I watched the replay, I forgot how quickly he kicked his 4. I knew they were in the first half, but I didn't realize it was 6 or 7 minutes into the second. He came on and well done. I think that's a really important game for him because it shows how important it is for him to be ready at any moment for anything to happen. He mentally would have been not switched off because he obviously was switched on, but it's very hard to stay really committed into the game knowing that there's only a few minutes left before the ball's bounced and you're still not in the team.
Yeah, he did the gig. He did the gig. And it's a very thankless task when you play in the small forward. Dylan Moore suffered it, who's now raved about by the media, where they pull out these stupid stats and be like, oh, well, Tom Papley's had 20% midfield time, but had 20 touches. And don't understand that this guy literally this week lived in the forward half of the ground. So he wasn't wandering. He was doing it. When you kick 4 goals, that's ridiculous, right? And 2 of them goals were pure crumbing goals, instinct. He actually has run ahead of the play, which we kind of killed out at Jesse. But aside from that, what I really enjoyed about Jesse's game is that tackle pressure was really good throughout for 4 quarters. So a few people talking first half was good, second half, he'd done his job. When you've kicked 4 goals, you've kind of done your job. Do you know what I mean? As a small forward. And the ball was being taken. Marks go up at that point. Carlton have spread the forward line. They're hitting targets where they weren't in the first as they got into it. And Jesse kept running, kept getting into position. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but tell you what, if he has that second half every week of his career, but has that first half, I couldn't give a fuck. He can put his feet up in the 4th quarter if he has that first quarter.
I feel like, I'm going to say 7.5.
Got to think of the goals.
Well, the goals, true. Well, he would have been the highest goal-kicking small forward for the round, right?
I shall tell you through the medium of dance. Go away. I don't need to say that. Okay, so Jamie Elliott, Tom Papley were equal to him. You look at Tom Papley and Motlop, not a massive difference between them, to be honest.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge. That's massive, mate. It's massive.
Who would you rather have, Jesse Motlop or Papley? No, I'd rather have. One of them didn't make me wait 10 hours.
Well, one of them signed the contract. The other one didn't.
Oh, man. But yeah, 4 goals. Incredible.
Love it. Jack Martin is next. Jack Martin. We were talking about this last week. The curious thing about Jack and even Cunningham to a degree is that mentally, I don't look at them in the same way that I used to. I don't look at Jack and David Cunningham and say, oh, well, they've got to help lead and be our best players. And I think they're better than role players, but just quite not superstars in their own right individually. But I'm loving the fact that we've now built the list a bit more and it's evolved a bit more and they can sort of fit in a different way. And now I think I'm appreciating them more for that.
I think you've nailed it. We know me and Gary Brown are probably 1 and 2 in the David Cunningham fan club. So if Gary's in chat, good day to you. It's great to see Cunners always playing. Always think of him. But Jack Martin and Cunners, I don't think people are talking about them enough. Because at the start of the year, you would have said these guys are high ceiling players. They're X Factor players. People would have gone on Twitter and used the C word that fucks me off. Class. It's just a mythical thing. I mean, mythical thing. Class. Brilliant. Good. Fantastic. These guys have really become team players. They've become role players by accident. Yeah. And you know what? They're feasting on it. And Martin and Cunners have really impressed me the last 2 weeks. that my issue with them is when they've played is they piss off when the ball's not there. They're now looking to enact. Seeing Martin peel off his man and chase down a player. Martin's never done that, even at Gold Coast. Real big cogs. And we talk about, I'm going to do it again, but Z Fisher, your mate, we've tried a few players on this role, right?
Yeah.
And we keep saying, oh, but they're sealing. This is what we need, where they're not kicking goals or they're not doing something. They're doing something else. They're working as an active, hungry part of the unit. And Jack Martin, absolutely kicking ass every week since he's come in, and so has Cunners. I like him. I like Martin.
I think the other thing with Martin that I'm really grateful for is the fact that it's another game under his belt consecutively. So he's had, is it 4? Is it 4 in a row? Was Gold Coast his first game back? Gold Coast Hawthorn 3. I'm pretty sure it was. If it wasn't Gold Coast, then it might have been the game before that, which was Essendon. And I think it's a blessing, and I just, long may it continue for the rest of the season, and he can just stay in the side. Because the one thing with him and Cunners, who we'll touch on shortly, is it's just that the continuity they've not been able to get. So fingers crossed. Nonetheless, Jackie Martin, a 7. Wow, this end result's going to look great. I can't wait for that.
He's
filthy. Harry Mackay's next. Obviously, this is difficult because he was injured very early in the game, like 9 minutes into the game, and then we didn't see him. So how do you go about this?
I just rate him.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll just quickly...
I wish I could give you something more, Terry. But yeah, turned the ball over once out of his 2 touches. Was a bit ineffective, so he was starting to lose it.
Obviously.
It's stiff, but the guy was playing about as much as I played that week. So
yeah,
apart from I went on the beers after he didn't, he was probably having a microscope or something.
Yeah, we'll touch on Harry, but it looks like he's going to need an arthroscope. 6 to 8 weeks on the sidelines is the report. We'll get to it in the BA show.
All right, no one cares. We'll play in grand final. We'll be primed for the granny. So
yeah,
fuck,
I don't care. I didn't like the. It's interesting. The media, the mainstream, like titling it in their titles and their headings on their articles as like a big blow, which it is a big blow and like a season defining blow. I'm not as worried. Like obviously Harry's great, Coleman medalist and awesome player, but I'm not as much in a state of panic that he's not going to be there because there's a total buy-in from what I'm watching from everyone else.
Mate, Jack Martin, JSOS, TDK swinging there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Opportunity breeds a chance here. Chances are going to be hard. Yeah, it's stiff. We love Harry, but you know what? Like, come on.
Right.
But it's the AFL media, Terry. I mean, Gerard Whateley spent a week crying because some melt said that. He said, Messi, like, have a crack, mate. I mean, Jesus Christ. Don't trust anyone with 2 first names and don't trust anyone with 2 surnames as a first name.
Jared would not do very well with video after a game because he'd have too many people trying to like reveal themselves on stream. Jared, mate, if you're out there, I'm happy to give you some tips on live air, mate, about how to handle things that get said on the internet. Anyway, TDK, you know what, man? He enforced on Saturday. He was an enforcer against Scotty Lysette, who can only enforce.
We talked about taking players out into deep waters, and I think that's really important. The good players make you play them, right? Good players make you play them. And you look at TDK, was 11th in the league for ruck opportunities this week, right? 11th in the league. And he's 7th in ratings. So in the terms of having above average, and they're across the board for TDK as well. In all the metrics we look at ruckman. So that's really impressive from TDK. He's building in quite a repertoire. And we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. JSOS and TDK, they offer the fact that you're not one down. When Pitternet's there, he's basically a passenger around the ground. TDK and JSOS, I'm loving how Voss has got them. Sometimes JSOS goes down back. TDK rests forward. Sometimes they switch it around. He's always looking to make that move. And TDK is he looked like the mature ruckman against Lysette. He was making Lysette play his game. And dare I say it, third quarter on the rewatch, I watched it and I started to think of Matty Cruiser. He's a good-looking Matty Cruiser. No offense, Cruz, but TDK's better looking. Fact.
That is the master. That is the guy that's been showing him the ropes pretty much since he entered the league. So I liked Tom's game. I liked it a lot. I'd go as far as saying it was, I'm going to guess, an 8. I really liked his game. Yeah. Yeah. Well done.
Sign him up.
Adam Chera is next. Coming off one of the best months of football you might see. He had a very interesting game. He had the 17 touches. 14 of the 17 were handballs, 6 tackles. So he kept bringing the heat. Came off a little earlier in that fourth quarter, and we now know that it was hamstring tightness. I think he's earned himself a bit of a quote unquote. If that's a down game, then that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, people were slating Chera this game, but one thing I love about Chesney above probably all our other midfielders is all year he has done something either offensively or defensively. So this week, defensively, Chera put out 6 tackles, 30 pressure acts. Only in our team, only Sam Walsh beat him in the pressure acts numbers. And it's his ability to actually turn his own ego off, which I think is a huge change in this team. Everyone is willing to play their role over their own personal. And Chera, you know what? He had a tough game, but I'll tell you what, he hurt them on the defense. And ultimately, Walsh and Cripps did what they wanted when they wanted. So I will sacrifice one of the 3 any week if the other 2 get off the chain.
I'm sure they would as well. If they're playing in 50-point wins against teams that are second on the ladder.
We don't just beat teams anymore now. We destroy them.
Did you know, by the way, that Port Adelaide had 7 ins, not just 7 outs? Like, they didn't play with 11 on the field. They actually had 7 ins as well.
I stopped worrying about Port Adelaide when I realised it's a place that has shit as asleep. So don't worry about it. Fuck them. Mickey Mouse side. Bring on Eagles this week. Fuck them. Had their chance.
Port Adelaide's a massive club.
Oh, they fuck. I enjoyed in the watch along just letting them know when their fans came in. I was asking if we can play them every week, and I haven't sung that since we played Eagles.
Chera with the 7. Next up is Sam Walsh. He is building very nicely and at the right point of the season. Young Sam Walsh. I thought he looks to have a bit more power through his body. It's good to see.
Yeah, and Sam Walsh got a big game. Had a big game. 33 pressure acts, 6 tackles. The confidence is flowing. We're starting to see that elite running power, but also the elite damage that he can do with the ball because he works hard in the positions. Real high maintenance, this system, when they're running. And he's probably the catalyst of bravery. He just overlaps players for banter, and it really forces it. I'm a big fan of Sam Walsh, and yeah, I didn't really notice Rosie, but I did notice Sammy Dubb.
Yeah. I also like that he pinned Rosie, I think, twice. The first one wasn't called, but the second one was.
Well, if we're doing player ratings, the best on ground for Port would have been Razor Ray.
Did you?
I've never seen anything that corrupts ever.
Yeah, yeah. Did you say Walsh had over 30 pressure acts?
Mate, honestly, the guy's an animal.
Okay, that is massive. That is leading me to believe he may have got an 8.5. 8. Yeah. Still very good. Very good. Oh, mate. Come on, give it to me. Jack Silvani. Talk to me about Jack Silvani.
Well,
Everyone shot. We all killed Bambi. All of us pushed the nuke button on Bambi, and he rose from the ashes.
You know what? You know what? What I'll say about him is I think everyone thought he was out of the club because of how Voss was playing him. We wanted a defined system. he's now got a defined system. He's now really getting massive ruck taps every week that are consistent, something that he can work around. And we've created a new algorithm this week, right? AFL doesn't have it.
Has he broken the algorithm?
AFL doesn't have it because it's unfair when you're doing this role, I think, to be compared to other ruckmen, because other ruckmen have far more time. Do you know what I mean? And it hits you when other players are in the ruck for 60, 70 ruck contests and you're pinch hitting. We've got to start deducing it. So we've started to break it down to auxiliary ruckmen. So people who play other roles. So he's going up against players like Blitzarbs. He's going up against Casbolt, Callum Brown, Finlayson, Billy Frampton, that dude who's evidently decent at Collingwood and stuff. He was good. He was good. Sauce showed his class. This suits him because we always talk about pace and speed, and I keep saying speed is a myth, class is a myth, unless you can define it. When the ball moves quickly, Sauce can think quickly, and that's a big thing. And 2 of his goals were literally him outthinking everyone else. In the ruck, he offers something. I love him behind the ball, and I don't mean in defence. I mean him. He gets into that midfield, and he's the protection which allowed Cherrett and Hewitt to go a bit more forward. Very selfless. Got the goals. I thought his 4th goal was the best of the lot because I think there was a bit of pressure on that. And and where's my girl, my main girl, Lana? I know no one loves Sauce as much as him, and it is an honour to have a new record holder in TPI history.
Woo! Wow. This might be the only time. When you look at it, he's had 19 touches, 10 hitouts, 5 marks, 4 tackles, 4 goals. I don't know what his pressure acts were, but he was phenomenal.
When you look at him against other ruckmen and you just get rid of, just take our incidental stats like goals. So just take, because you think, well, that's as rare as Rocking Horse Spoo. Do you know what I mean? Not every, you look, his numbers stack up. Do you know what I mean? Like incredibly well, his numbers stack up of how hard he's worked around the ground. Like this guy here is getting below AFL average in stats that this guy's never even seen part of the ground. And I think the club has found kind of a respect of squad players over superstars. And that's where Sauce will be. Because I don't think Sauce is, and I don't think he'd say it himself, a superstar. But what he is he'll graft. And in a system that praises grafters, this guy will do it. And you know what? Honour to give him a 10. Honour to change the stats and the rules for Jesus. Honour. Well done. 10. Benchmark. Leader. Clubhouse leader.
Bookmark it. We may never see another 10 again, except if Charlie kicks 10. So Dave Cunningham is next. Cunners had the 14, kicked the goal at an important moment in that first half. When I watched the replay again, I noticed it. It was a set shot. Chat, how did you see Cunner's game? Pom, just another one. I mean, we touched on him with Jack Martin. Clearly, with the 2 of them and Fogarty in the side, we've been different.
Yeah, he's nailing his job. He's nailing his job. He's selfless and moments of genius. But you know what really impresses me about him? Moments of just intelligence.
Yeah.
Moments of intelligence. And doing the right thing, peeling off, easy pass, easy handball, doesn't force it. And that's something Martin and Cunners do better than probably anyone on our side. They don't force the entry. They seem to have more time than anyone else. So really solid from Cunners. Just another Cunners, a Classingham, as Bugs Bell calls him.
Love it. George Hewitt is next. Georgie boy, he's almost fallen into that role player as well. But he's better than a role player, not quite playing at the same level as what he was last year, but I don't think we need him to. He's just doing all those basic things. He sets that minimum standard. His tackle count. When I see George Hewitt's name, I always think of 4 to 5 tackles a game. It was just kind of one of those performances. I think he's building again. Just a solid game.
A little bit fucked around this week, Hewitt.
Yeah?
Yeah, Voss is struggling with that extra rotation, right? And someone gets sacrificed, and you understand it from Voss's point of view, right? But you can't take Cripps out of there. You can't take Walsh and Cherry out there. So you can see Voss is like Kennedy was the one chopped around. Then it's Hewitt. And they're just trying to get that right. And not blaming Dow, but because Dow came on, we'll come on to Dow, but he played half forward and went anonymous. And then they played him on the wing and he blew up after the second. So you could see they were trying to get it right. So that suffered. But George Hewitt, when he was doing his job, was kicking ass. Do you know what I mean? 5 of them tackles, 2 of them tackles were out of the centre with the player bursting away, and he's got one hand and dragged him in. He's there. It's there. It's there. It suits him, this game style. I do like Georgie. Strong hair game, Bugs Bell. Spot on, mate. He's got some good Brill cream in there.
Yes, and we have come to love a 6.5. Alex Chincotta is next. He had a high handball rate this week. I haven't noticed that too much about him since he got into the team. He had 13 touches, 10 of them were handballs. He was okay.
Chincotta, harder than a coffin nail, this guy. And
harder than a coffin nail. Wow.
Tell you what, if someone owed me money, Chincotta would be the first person I'm calling to get that cash back. 9 ground ball gets, 7 one-on-ones on the deck, 1 all 7. And one understated thing, so we look at incidentals, things that happen off the ball. Watch him check players' runs. So Rosie does this really interesting thing. And if you go to the second quarter, I think it's 12 minutes in, ball comes in. Rosie is probably one of the smarter footballers because Betts used to do this. He runs out of bounds, does Rosie, when he's chasing the ball. And it's quite clever because it's out of the peripheral. Chincotta twice had obviously seen the research, saying he did it. And one of the bumps, he lays off the ground. So Chincotta's like, mate, I ain't a fucking idiot. I've seen this video, and knocks him and keeps him out of bounds. That is, you can't teach that. That's just awareness. And the guy would be the bollocks at hide and seek, Chincotta.
Yeah. Eddie, I love this comment because I love that we're starting to highlight different or a bit more of a deeper level of stat. Like we're not just looking at possessions and as a number as a whole, we're looking a little bit deeper. So
Eddie's always one of them guys. Eddie is in the chat. He's on Pominos as well. Always got the smarts.
Got the brains, mate. Lastly, Paddy Dowie. Yeah, it's just another.
Sorry. Whenever you say yes after someone's name, I know it's bad.
It's not bad. It was just a reminder, like that he plays in the VFL and he's like the number 1 option. He comes into the AFL and it's just hard to see him getting the same type of midfield minutes in the same position, in the same role as what Cripps does, as what Hewitt does, as what Chera does, as what Walsh does. And I found him not in the same position than what he was when he plays in the VFL. And it was the perfect reminder of the Paddy Dow situation for what it is. Like in the whole, it's not fair, mate. Life's not fair. So
preaching to the choir, my friend. Yeah, it was poor. It was poor from players that play in that position. Harsh because he had to go half forward, but then you saw the problem when people say just playing forward, not going to happen. Then he went on the wing and he was appalling on the wing, so bad that Hewitt had to replace him, and that's not great. And then there was times he broke lines and just coughed up possession. And I've seen a few comments like, oh, can't he do Kennedy's job? Can't he do Hewitt's? Okay, well, they're there to defend. And do you know what I mean? Like, it looked like the end of a Rex Hunt fishing trip, the amount of tackles he had left. 0. That's an Australian niche joke, that chat. So I deserve something for that.
So he gets the 5. Now, those of you who have been with us know what a winning team looks like. This is what the total picture looks like. Oh, you changed it. We can go like this.
I'm trying, but
very good.
We both got long legs.
It's actually a perfect representation of the even spread. Like there's a few performances there that are outstanding. Jack Silvani obviously being, there with Nick Newman at the top of the list. And then we're looking at yellow and green, mate. This is great. Very little red. Mackay is the only red, and he obviously was injured.
Doesn't count, really, does it?
Yeah.
And because of Mackay, the way that the stat colours them, it fucks the good sixes, because we want sixes. We said 6.5 is the happy medium. That's 6.5, all of them in there. But look at the engine room, man. The engine room just ticking on. So yeah, they are. It's
big fan of that. And that is happy days. That is the standard. And we have concluded the round 18 play ratings. Man, that was so much fun. How good's winning content, mate? Seriously.
Bit fucking easier than when Terry says, I want to do the ratings in 10 minutes. It's a little bit better than that, chat. I'll be honest with you.
It's better than going Josh Honey next.
Fuck me. Nah, it's
anyway,
good.
Guys, thanks for being here. See you in about 5, 6, 7 minutes at 7 p.m. The Blue Abroad Show will go live. We'll see you there. Can't wait. Go Blues.
Go Blues.